Welcome to Suzanne's studio, and I'm Suzanne Barnett, your host. And tonight, I just don't even know how to introduce my guest, but I'll do my best. Wolf Price is 23 years old. He is a world traveler, having been to about 50 countries all over the world. He's a professional photographer. He is just unbelievable, as you will see. And by the way, he is my grandson. Welcome, Wolfie.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're here. We have so much to talk about, but what I would like to say to the audience is that when you were 18 and you graduated high school, I just knew that you were going to go to a wonderful, fabulous art school, university. Mm-hmm. And what did you say?
Well, it was something I definitely thought about, but when I started to think about what I could do abroad, what kind of things I could learn about in Asia or in South America, I just couldn't resist spending the money I would spend on a tuition and go traveling and learn abroad.
And it's been 6 years. And the thing that one of the things we're going to talk about is that you have published a book on traveling, plus the fact that you have been able to travel on $5 to $10 a day. How did that come about?
Well, I never wanted to be one of the travelers who just spends a lot of money and saves up a lot of money and spends it in a short amount of time. I wanted to make a lot of money last a long time instead of just a shorter kind of 1 month trip. So I wanted to find out ways that I could learn and develop the way that I travel so I can just save money, and sometimes I only spend $1 or sometimes no money because I work and I trade and I don't need to spend money when I travel.
And you've taught all these people that you have been associated with or that you visit. You've taught them English, you've taught the kids music, you've taught them how to draw, right? Mm-hmm. That must be very satisfying for you.
Yeah, it's so amazing to be appreciated coming into maybe a temple in Thailand and just know that by staying there I can help people know English and what they can do with that knowledge. And even kids in developing countries, they're not stressing art as much. So I like to teach drawing and show kids that art is an important part of their development. If they can express themselves through drawing and painting and music, then they'll have a happier life.
But how did you begin this journey? 6 years ago, you were just a kid, and I was so opposed to it, of course. And he kept saying, Grandma, it's going to be okay. But here you were, just a kid, traveling to all these countries, some of them, having a lot of problems and stuff. And how'd you do that? I mean, how did you get enough self-esteem to do that?
Mm. Well, that's a good question because so many people kind of discouraged me at a time when I didn't have very much to work with, like very much to be confident in. A lot of people were sort of telling me why it was dangerous and why it was, not a good thing I should be doing. But I think what really inspired me was like great writers and explorers and their stories and their books and reading and hearing why they did those things, why they traveled and what they did with what they found traveling, publishing books and things like that.
And you're not, I mean, this is a dumb question, but there's not even a spark of you wanting to go to a university at this point?
Well, it's not that I don't want to go. If it's something I need to do for a certain, goal, then of course I would. I have nothing against college. It's just right now I've already learned so much that I don't really need it at this point.
Tell some of your very, very favorite places that you've been.
I definitely have been welcomed into the Thai culture a lot. So Northeast Thailand has become a home for me. Also Guatemala and Nicaragua, and then Nepal is another kind of home that I've been sort of developing over the years because I've been 5 times now.
5 times. Tell about meeting the Dalai Lama
Yeah,
in person.
Yeah, that was really special actually because we didn't know he was coming to the ashram we were staying at. And before we went into a 10-day meditation retreat, we just heard, oh, by the way, the Dalai Lama's coming, so everything's really busy right now. And we were so excited, and we got back from the retreat, and he came in a helicopter.
Wouldn't that have been wonderful to have filmed that? You had just your regular camera. You didn't have a video camera. Oh, you do?
The last 10 months I've been shooting video, and I actually had a press pass, and that was how I could be so close to the Dalai Lama.
Well, tell about your travel book that's been sold out. Thanks a lot for giving me one. But I don't think I could travel the same way. Give me the Ritz-Carlton, right?
Well, Indie Expeditions is what it's called, and it's kind of just a chronicle of all the each trip, and then a short kind of statement about what that trip represented for me and what it was like, and then pictures from that trip.
But when is the new edition coming out?
Well, I'm going to republish that, but I'm also working on the Universal Guidebook.
Oh, tell about that.
Well, that's a very long time in the making because I want to make like an industry-changing guidebook to sort of show people that you don't need a guidebook. You only need one kind of inspiration to go anywhere in the world. You don't need to read from a book which restaurants to go to and which hotels to stay at.
Really? Oh, that's so bizarre. I didn't know about that. Tell about that.
Well,
why wouldn't a person want to know what hotel? I want to go to some fancy, hot hotel.
Well, it's okay to go to a certain hotel, but you shouldn't read a book that's published in millions of copies all over the world because it creates these kind of foreigner communities of just, they all have the same advice. And so what I've found is what I'm going to explain, all the different aspects, everything you need to know. Because in the last 6 years, I've never had a guidebook. And I've seen that to really have a guide, you need to just ask people. And you need to be very active in speaking to people, local people and other travelers, and hear what they say, where they think you should go. And you should follow their advice.
Really? What about the language barriers?
Well, I mean, we're speaking English. You can get by anywhere in the world. And then, I'm going to cover that in the book as far as techniques, what you should learn and what you can learn in any country in the language. I speak a little Nepali, Swedish, Thai.
Really? This I have to say, even, putting my bias aside, that this is the education that most people can never receive, what you're experiencing, what you have experienced, and what you continue to. Now, we have some pictures of Bangladesh. Should we show those?
Yeah, this is actually from Thailand, from the outside of a temple. It's the leaf of a lotus flower. You can show the next picture.
And that's a drop of water.
Yeah, a drop of water.
That shows all your fabulous photography, right?
Yeah, this is near the border of Thailand and Laos. It's a freshly painted Thai monastery, Thai Buddhist monastery. You can show the next picture.
What are those?
That's a pile of chilies, and it's a long exposure. I've always really liked long night shots, and I travel with a tripod most of the time. And this is from Varanasi, which is one of the most famous and actually one of the most ancient cities in the world.
And where is that?
It's in North India.
North India.
Yeah, you can show the next photo.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, this woman was just kind of, standing near me and sort of wanted to talk to me in Hardwar, India, also in North India. And she was actually a beggar, and she kind of wanted to get money from me, and I wanted to take her picture, and of course I gave her some money, and usually I don't, but she was so friendly and had such a nice smile and helped me find my bus in the end. So.
And you can really communicate.
Yeah, that's
even
the
with
thing.
People that don't know your language and,
Right.
and you don't, and they don't know yours.
Right, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. That's why my universal guidebook is going to be more of like a traveler's theory, because people need to know that speech and language is only just one aspect of communication. There's so much more, and
Like
you don't
what else?
just the body language and just smiling with people and laughter and things like that. You really don't need, like this, for example. This was on a train, and this guy was just traveling with his pig on the train, and
So cute.
and you don't need to be able to speak the same language. You can just be there as a friend, not an enemy, and that's very clear. And when that's been established, you can have amazing interactions with people.
Okay, next picture.
This photo was taken at the top of a famous temple in Kathmandu Valley in Nepal called Swayambhu. And it's actually kind of like a monkey-infested like temple ground. And
And there are monkeys?
yeah, they're really dangerous, actually. So if you go there, you have to be really careful not to look them in the eyes or get near the babies, because they attack people a lot.
So you had no trouble, I assume?
No, I did every time I've been there. Yeah.
You did.
I mean, they come at you and they show their teeth, and if you have food, they'll attack you for it. It's pretty scary. So monkeys become a problem. If you go to Asia, you think, oh, wow, monkeys are so nice, and
Yeah,
you leave
yeah.
hating monkeys. and
Hating them.
And this is from Bangladesh. This is in the rice paddies out in northwest Bangladesh. And these kids, they actually don't go to school. They just sort of play all day and sort of play in the fields and in the trees. And they're really nice kids, but it's really sad that they don't get an education.
How did you get them all to smile?
Well, I had actually known them for a few weeks already, so they kind of, you'll see in the video actually, these same kids. So we had already been playing with them for a long time.
Because it's amazing to get them all. So in a little while, we're going to show the video, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's continue now. We're going to talk about one of the things that I felt from what you've told me that you're so proud of about the women in India, that group. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's actually, it's Hindu women, but it's actually in Nepal where we focused on.
Nepal.
And it's the very ancient problem that's been happening of sort of oppression to women that all over the world, of course, but in Nepal you see this horrible division of labor where, the men literally don't do anything. They sit around and they smoke marijuana and they drink and they gamble, and and the women are in the field and they take care of the kids. I mean, they actually have to eat like the scraps off the food of the plates of the men, and it's a really bad situation right now.
Now, are the women really upset about this, or are they conditioned to this?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what happens. They are completely conditioned to it.
Yeah.
So it's not like they know some other kind of way of life, but obviously they're living really secluded lives. They don't have freedom to travel by bus, or they don't have money. Everything, their husbands are like their owners.
And this is the majority of women?
Not in the capital as much, but generally throughout Nepal you have a very old kind of, issue of men just taking advantage of women like that, and so what we wanted to do was it was an idea of a friend of mine I have that lives there, He's a local guy in this community, and he's made an orphanage and a school, and he had this idea to take these women on a picnic, and like a 3 kind of all expenses paid 3 meal, like we rented a bus and drove to a pilgrimage site outside of Kathmandu and took these women on sort of an adventure that we could just give them a day of happiness, and where they didn't have to work and they could just feel free. And
I mean, I just thought of something. That's kind of a dichotomy, isn't it? Because they didn't know that this could exist, but now you've introduced them to something pleasurable. What's going to happen with that?
well, these women, I mean, it's not like they don't have fun in their life. I mean, they laugh easier than anyone you've
Really?
ever met, and they're so strong, and they're so tough from their hard life. So they're not mean people from that. They're actually really appreciative of anything. So we just gave them an opportunity to kind of relax for a day when normally they would maybe go their whole life and never be able to leave their hometown.
But they're going to remember that and maybe demand that.
Well, I
think?
don't think necessarily. I think they know that it's sort of like in Nepal there's hundreds of festivals and events, and this is just kind of a special thing that they could do, and they'll see us again, and they'll remember this in their heart and enjoy the experience, I think.
You're going to do that again?
Yeah, we want to next time actually go on a longer trip.
You're going to screw them up. You are. Wolfie, you are. You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, you certainly know better than I, but if I mean, I was just projecting that if that had happened to me, I'd have gone home and beat the hell out of my husband.
Well, we're
really.
approaching it from sort of a different view, because the problem is if people try and change the system, we're not trying to do that, because you can't change it. And that's the problem, is that with that older generation, it only starts with the new generation. You can't change them. All you can really do is give them a smile and make them happy, and that was our goal. And that was the intention all along.
Do you think that will ever change?
For
area?
that generation,
Yeah,
no.
you don't think
it
so?
Definitely
What
won't.
about the new generation?
Yeah, that's changing in Kathmandu
It
now.
is.
Communism has actually helped, because girls are in the army and they're treated much more equally now, and they're all getting an education now. But with that generation, this older generation, it's really bad, and it's going to stay that way, because you can't change those mindsets. There's just no way.
No. We were talking about changing people, like in China. You said there's no way that they're so inculcated into their own religion and everything. But you were talking about other countries that might, become more Americanized. Like what?
Well, like India, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody is kind of idolizing America right now and trying to be more westernized, and that's why I generally wear the local clothes of a country I'm in, to sort of show that their culture is something to be proud of, not something to be ashamed of. And that's what's happening now in the world. Culture is sort of disappearing, and that's another reason that I'm going to explain in my guidebook, is that this is the time to travel, because things are changing so fast that you could miss entire cultures.
Really?
I mean, it's disappearing. It's with globalization and with the kind of capitalist, consumerist mindset that everybody wants to experience now in the world. There's just everything, the indigenous, the traditional values are disappearing in exchange for the Western kind of dreams.
Before we end, we want to show the video.
Yeah.
Tell about the video that we're going to see.
Well, the Bangladesh video is just from a job I was doing, volunteering for a nonprofit there, and we were just filming to help them have footage for their really expansive project that they're doing to help people in Bangladesh.
So we haven't seen that yet, though.
No, we haven't seen
yeah,
that.
we're getting ready to see that, right? I can't believe your life. I really, really can't. You certainly, I'm so different than you.
Got it.
Very good. When you look at that, does that give you the feeling that you want to go back immediately?
Yeah, I mean, all those experiences, I never can forget them. And actually, when I'm kind of in a quiet moment, I kind of have these experiences of just missing these people I've met all over the world. And
so being here is a real culture shock for you, but you're going to be here through October, and you're available for any kind of photography, wedding, portraits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're a wonderful photographer, of course.
Thank you.
I'm not being prejudiced, really.
Thank you.
So I want to ask you a really, really pertinent question, and that is, I mean, after 6 years of having these incredible experiences, what have you really learned about Wolf?
Well, I've had time for myself, which a lot of people my age really don't have. A lot of people my age are pressured into a certain lifestyle, and I've had the opportunity to sort of look within and sort of just feel what I want in my life and what I want to do, and ask questions about what I think is right to do in my life. And that's given me a lot of, empowerment to do those things, because I live in my own time, and I don't really have anybody telling me how I should live or how much money I need to make. And I don't need to make a lot of money, because I live off very little money. $100, $200 a month, and I've found that I can be happy with almost nothing. And that, to me, is actually a really great gift, because I don't have to have fear about becoming successful or not. I'd like to be successful with my work and that I'm doing, but if it doesn't happen, it's okay, because I know that I can be comfortable in Asia or Central America, just living on a farm and working for food and living in paradise.
That's amazing. It really is, because you came from kind of a, what do you call it, family. Both your mother and father are photographers, but came from Palo Alto, and you went around with all these wealthy kids and stuff. So this is so different for you, is what I see.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think it's wonderful. It's hard for me to relate to, but I'm very proud of you and what you've done and what you're doing. But I had visions of you becoming you know, the big hot photographer in LA and New York and London and Paris. But that's not meaningful for you, is it?
No, I mean that's meaningful, but I just don't want to. I don't want to be afraid of anything that's going to happen in my life. I have a lot of goals for my film and my books and stuff like that, but I'm not worried about what happens. I'm okay with any outcome because I've found comfort in the most simple of environments, sleeping on a mat in a hut in Thailand.
Tell where you're sleeping now.
Or I'm living in a yurt now in the woods.
Well,
in
tell what
Santa
a
Cruz.
yurt is.
A yurt is like a Mongolian teepee, and it's a really nice opportunity to work for a place to stay. And like I do when I travel, I'm always working. I'm never on vacation. And if there's time, we could show the Nepal, the footage we have from the coming film that we're making about women's situation in Nepal.
We don't have time, but will you come back? Maybe we can do another show before you leave in October, because there's so much to talk about. Like when you were up in the in India, and you shaved your head, and you were one of those not shaman, but what do you call them?
Well, in Thailand, I was ordained as a monk.
That's a monk.
Which is, in Thailand, it's traditional to have a short, in other countries you become a monk for life, but in Thailand you become a monk as sort of like a rite of passage into manhood.
Do you want to do that again?
I've been thinking about it, yeah, for a 3-month period.
You're so cool. You really are. I'm so proud of you, and I'm just delighted that you're on the show. And the next show, we're going to show the other film, okay?
Okay.
And, of course, I love you, and I wish you all the best. And I worry my guts out about you, but, you know.
Okay, thank
maybe.
you. I love you, too. Thank you.
Thank you. And, of course, I want to thank our crew. We have such a good crew. I feel kind of Buddhist now since I've been with you. No, but really, talk about giving. They really give of themselves, and, you know, it's all volunteer. And I don't know, we could not have a show, and I'm just so fortunate to have my crew. And, of course, I want to thank our audience for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye-bye.